Well, here we are once again with Paul Rupert. And Paul, we missed a week because I went to Juneau, and I ran out of time.
I missed that, Gene.
Oh, did you?
No, remember, I think we talked on the phone while you were up there.
We did. I was at Mendenhall Glacier, and
which we'll show. We won't. Well, we can
sure, I'll show
now.
a picture. Yeah, right now. Yeah. There you go.
That was a startling place.
Isn't that
it was
odd?
Uncanny, is what it was. To think that little intimate town of Juneau could be 5 miles from that awesome.
Yeah, very close.
It's just something how that cold could come down to the sound,
yeah, to
the waterway at the same level as the town.
Yeah,
it's a different place than here.
No, it really is quite stunning.
And yet the temperature isn't that different, right? So it's a mystery. It's a mystery.
Yeah, it's a little bit colder, but not that much. It was quite balmy when we were there.
Yeah.
So we're going to try as best we can to cover the two subjects: this week's column, and last week's column. This week's column is I think it's Redmond. So before we do Brown's Garage, let's head back to last week's column, which was the Prince Rupert Hotel.
Right. Okay. Right away, I have something I want you to read.
Okay.
As you know, when we do this research, the Times archive is so helpful, and we find such wonderful things there about robberies and suicides and murders and fires and all those great sensational things that have to do with practically every structure that has a lot of people in it over a number of years. That's part of the demography of being human.
Right.
That you might commit suicide or you might commit murder or your hotel may burn down. Well, this one never did burn down, but it had a good fire in the 50s. And it also had some strange people living in it. But I want you to read here something from within 3 months when it opens in 1907. And here, I'm going to hand it to you. It's between the quote marks. Can you see that between the quote marks there?
Yes.
I'm sorry you're giving this to you raw. But this is an advertisement, in a sense, two of them, for the hotel, trying to make out what it's like when it opens, what its great promise is. Can you read it?
Yeah.
Right.
August 4th, 1907. Erected last winter. 5-story fireproof hotel erect by the Boylston. This is like a pornographic.
There's probably some of that in the hotel, too.
5-story fireproof hotel erect by the Boylston. I'm going to read exactly as you wrote it. I'm not going to put in the sick. Erect by the Boylston Investment Co. and opened last May by Mrs. M. Martin.
Erected.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent location, elegant furnishings. The hotel at once became extremely popular, and although it opened to the public less than 3 months ago, it is impossible to accommodate all who apply. And it is likely that 50 more rooms will be added this fall.
You're parodying my speed typing. I don't care about how I type.
How am I supposed to read? H. Edward Gill is the new owner. He and his sister chose Seattle after leisure visiting every city on the Pacific coast and also Honolulu's.
Honolulu.
Seattle was last visit, and Mr. Gill says he was not long in making up his mind after witnessing the tremendous business activity here as compared with other cities.
Well, there you are. You see, that's real testimony. No
expense will be spared in making it the most beautiful and home-like hotel in Seattle. An attractive home for young people. Special rates. Now, I have a question. Edward Gill, was he any relation to our mayor?
No. This Edward Gill is not related.
Okay.
No.
I just don't know any Gills.
I don't think he's around long either. I think he and his sister bought it up and turned it around and sold it real soon afterward, although I found no information to that effect. It didn't have many owners through its years. For instance, there was a woman who ran it for about 25 years, from the teens into the 40s. But really these hotels, as they grew older, became single occupancy apartments for people that were on fixed incomes. And that's what happened with this hotel eventually. And again, as I said, when you research it, either by address or by name. You come up with other names and you find some characters that lived there that were well, intriguing, curious people.
Well, who was the most curious amongst them?
Well, Grace Terlicker. She was a late teens, early 20s, and described as single. And she worked at the candy company downtown, as the name slips me right now. And they were organizing a labor union at the time. And one of her fellow workers tried to get her to join the protest, the union protest against the company. And she pulled out a gun and threatened her with it to leave me alone. I'm not joining any union. So
Wow.
May Fly was the woman who suggested to her that she join the union. And May then brought a complaint to her, to the court, that she had been threatened by Grace, I believe her name was, yes. And so they had to go to court. Now Grace comes to court carrying the gun that she claims to have threatened May with, and it's a squirt gun. And the judge dismisses the case. Now the question I have for you, is it likely that it was a squirt gun that she pointed at May? I would think that she switched guns, because no one ever got the gun and held it. I mean, obviously in her family they had guns. Her husband liked guns. One time when they were trying to avoid something in their bedroom at night, he shot a rat on the floor and hit his wife in the foot.
He hit Grace in the foot.
Yeah, hit Grace in the foot. Now, do you believe that? I think it's possible, but it's also possibly a good story. On another time, he shot at a couple of lads who were escaping in a car after they had robbed his and Grace's grocery store.
My
They had,
God.
by that time, had a grocery store. He shot at the car through the back window and killed one of the kids. I mean, that was, I suppose, just reward for stealing a few dollars from the till or something, but the kid died. And so the family was, using the Second Amendment elaborately. And that I found interesting. Oh, there's a lot of little stories. We can't do it. We're time up already.
We are time
Yeah.
up. But that is fast. So the question I suppose we should ask our audience is, did Grace Terlicker actually point a squirt gun at May Swift? May Swift? May
Well,
Fly?
I think her last name was Fly.
May Fly?
Yeah.
May Fly was her
I
name?
hope it isn't that. May Fly. Hold on. I've got it in my notes, sir. I've got it here somewhere.
Anyone.
No, I've got it. It's Grace Fly.
Grace, but I thought it was Grace Terlicker.
I'm getting a little screwed up here. I think both of their names were Grace. Maybe they were confused.
She was trying to commit suicide. That's what I was going.
Yeah.
She mistook the Grace.
That's the only suicide instance I have for the entire history of that hotel. No, there's another one. Oh, there are other people, but we don't have time.
No, we don't.
Because we've got this restriction.
Yes, we do. Well, it's not just a restriction.
No, we don't want to bore people.
No, we
Isn't
don't.
that it? Right.
We're almost at 10 minutes, so we need to. We're going to jump.
Really?
Yeah, we are. And it's an interesting topic. And I have to mention, shout out to our old pal Pedro Lana, who's the general manager.
Don't tell me. I know where he's at.
Yeah.
It's at the Camlin Hotel.
The Camlin Hotel.
And you just go one block north on Bourne from where and then you take a left.
Right.
And down to 9th.
Right across the street from the Paramount.
Well, Kitty Corner.
Kitty Corner,
No, it's not across the street. You misled your readers.
It's Kitty Corner.
Kitty Corner. So.
But I've taken pictures from the upper stories of the Camlin of the Paramount, and it was Pedro who gave me access.
Yeah, Pedro. We've got to do a story about that place at some point.
I know. If we can ever find the right picture, we will.
Still looking for the right picture.
Right. Sorry, Pedro. Let's talk now about the Brown's Garage in downtown Redmond. Here we go.
All right. I think it's fascinating that Redmond is one of the great examples of the towns that have come alive because of the second Gilded Age. Not the original one, but the one we just got recently with all this tech stuff. And of course, Redmond has found the glory and benefits of Microsoft. I mean, it just packed that place with energy and wealth. It couldn't make really a city out of it because it's still like a bedroom committee, but still it has a downtown, an old downtown that's growing into something like a community with the kind of things we associate with city living. And we also have a wonderful description of it from one of the Bibles or texts or scriptures that you took when you traveled the state for the book we did called Washington. Washington Then and Now. I wish we had a copy of that around here. We could show the people up front, you know. Isn't there one behind me?
There is one. Shall I grab it and you can hold it up?
I could do that, yeah.
Oh, God. There it is.
Is it too hard to do it?
It's very heavy.
You see this book here, Gene and I did this together. Now, Gene, this is over 10 years ago that we worked on this.
That's frightening.
It was published about 10 years ago or 9 years ago, wasn't it?
Well, 2007, actually.
All right, so nearly 10 years. And anyway, we had a good time. And one of the Bibles that you carried with you when you went around the state was the book that was written during the WPA by authors all around the state, really good ones, about the different tours that citizens could take traveling through the state. So they described the tours, and one of the places they stopped was Redmond.
That's right.
I'm suggesting, I think we mentioned this in this article, but why don't you read it? It's here, right over here.
Okay.
Go ahead, read that.
Okay, let me read it.
This is a delight. So listen closely to Gene.
All right. Redmond on the Sammamish River. The town was named for its first postmaster and founder, Luke Redmond, who settled here in 1861. Redmond derives its income from sawmills in the district and from dairying, stock raising, and some fruit growing. Excitement ran high in 1935 when a black bear strayed into town, was treed, and despite efforts of townspeople and police, sheriff, and deputies, remained in the tree 3 days.
It shows you what...
I do like that the bear stayed in the tree for three days, despite all the efforts. In fact, it was probably staying in the tree because it was terrified out of its wits from the sheriff, the deputies.
I think it was frightened. A frightened bear.
Yeah,
yes.
shrieking townsfolk who were... treed the bear.
Yes. Well, anyway, so we did 2 weeks in a row. We did something on Redmond's, what's now called its historic heart, or its heritage district. It's downtown. It's old downtown. And this first one with Brown's Garage is one of them. Brown, as you'll read, was mayor of that town for, I think, 30 plus years. I mean, he was mayor a long time. And he ran a bar before that. He was an industrious character. And that's followed by a next week on the bank, not far in the same historic district. So we'll say something more about Redmond next week.
All right. Well, say good night, Paul.
Good night. Gene, good night.
Good night, Paul.